Welcome to The Watching Dead, the officially unofficial podcast for The Walking Dead on AMC. I'm Jim.
I'm A.Ron.
And it's all The Walking Dead. It's Daryl Dixon. It's The Walking Dead. It's one season of Fear the Watching Dead. It's perhaps Dead City. We'll see.
We might get around a Dead City if we have nothing better to do. All The Walking Dead.
All The Walking Dead we care to cover. Season 1, Episode 4 of Daryl Dixon. La Dame de Fer. Do you know what this title means?
The Iron Lady.
Yeah. Reference to, of course, Isabella. No, it's talking about the Eiffel Tower, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually learned a lot about the Eiffel Tower today. I started reading about it, and it's fascinating. Did you know the fucking Eiffel had a penthouse apartment at the top level of that thing?
Who's living there?
No, it's a museum now, but during his lifetime, he maintained it. He entertained guys like Thomas Edison up there.
Himself?
It was the tallest building in the world for 40 fucking years in the middle of Paris, and this bastard's got granted, it is his tower, but what a pimp move. And I guess all his life, like, wealthy Parisians would be like, I will give you a small fortune. I will give you like the price of a micronation if you will let us stay there for like a weekend or something. And he's like, no. Yeah.
No. Why wouldn't he? I mean, he could just go out for a long night of drinking with all that cash.
I bet he's already pretty rich. Or maybe he's like one of the super science types that just didn't care. What does this have to do about The Walking Dead? It's the Eiffel Tower. It's a fascinating place. What'd you think of the episode?
I find it weird. There are two Iron Ladies in this episode. They show like one of the smaller replicas of the Statue of Liberty, right?
Sure.
So I was a little confused on whether or not that was the Iron Lady or whether the Iron Lady was the Eiffel Tower. But
I think of her more of a copper lady. I think Jenny is who they're really is the other major fulfillment of the title prophecy.
Who is Jenny?
She's the commander of the soldiers, or it's Gannett.
Oh, Janae. Oh, yeah.
It's Janae. Yeah, Jenny.
Okay. Sure, yeah, she should be an Iron Lady as well. What did I think of the episode? I thought it was, it has the usual Walking Dead things in it, which I'll point out when we get to them. But other than that, fine. No problems. No notes. Just keep doing Walking Dead.
That's the thing. It's like it's not a good episode, but I was entertained, and I will even say there's more than the usual amount of Walking Dead. Like, there's just bizarre edits. Like the first 5 minutes, I was confused. I'm like, did I fucking miss an episode? Was I on vacation? We forgot to record something? Like, what? Oh my God, Laurent has god powers. I don't know about this. And then I was even more confused. For like, but there's a couple times like the things carried on in that fashion, that Walking Dead fashion. But I think what really wins me over in the series is the sense of scale. Like, I'm very impressed. There's that one scene I didn't really like outside the Pantheon, but otherwise they're doing pretty good work of making actual Paris locations look like Apocalypse. Like, I don't know how they did some of those River Seine scenes where they're just kind of cruising down and there's like no one. I mean, did they shut down a stretch of the river? Did they clear the walks? Did they just painstakingly digitally remove all that stuff? And with the kind of the gray skies, and I find it very affecting in a way that The Walking Dead normally is not, when they're just working on the half acre in Georgia or the abandoned parking lot in a suburb of Georgia de jour. And there's something kind of isolating and lonely about it.
I don't know how they got permission to trash Monsieur Eiffel's yard like that. Like, throw a bunch of sandbags in it. I mean, just right outside his apartment. That's rough.
Yeah. He really needs to get the kids off of his lawn. I mean, that wasn't literally the Eiffel Tower.
I know, but of course, they could never shut down the Eiffel Tower's yard.
Yeah,
too many people go there.
I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't, but not The Walking Dead couldn't.
No,
The Walking Dead absolutely could.
Definitely not. Okay.
If you want to shut down the Eiffel Tower, just try to raise the retirement age in France a few years. Boom,
there
done.
You go, yeah.
The sanitation engineers and the firemen will take care of it.
Sounds like we both, generally we're okay with this episode.
It did feel a little bit like a little throat clearing, like it's a whole episode of Where's Laurent. I don't think they did a particularly good job of setting what those stakes were or why Laurent, in fact, until Daryl just kind of like talked about it, I was still kind of scratching my head. But that's the thing. I keep on expecting to really get annoyed by this kid, and I just find myself, nah, he's all right. He's pretty cool.
He's fine. He's in it just enough to not be annoying, I feel.
Maybe I grew up with this was like a main architect type of the kid that I grew up with. Not that he thinks he's a savior or anything, but just kind of like weird homeschool kids.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Haven't really
familiar.
Socialized with their own kid kind too much. Adults way too attentive to them and kind of hovering over them. But he's got that, and I don't know. I just maybe that's why I don't find it off-putting, but
could be. All right, let's start talking about the episode proper.
Yes.
We start, like you said, sort of confusingly with Daryl in some tunnels. Because if you remember last time, he was literally falling through a ceiling, a rooftop, at the time that credits rolled. Now he's in some tunnels. He sees Laurent being surrounded by walkers, but he can't get to him. It's okay, though. Laurent's able to pray the dead away. And then he smiles at Daryl, walks the other way, and then suddenly Daryl comes to his senses, and he's underwater. He's fighting off walkers. Yeah, I think it's pretty apparent he fell through a rooftop into a basement. I don't know how he got in the basement with all the water.
Dude, I was about to say, I would love to know the nature of the building that he is in, because he fell through the roof. This thing's filled with like 10 at least feet of water, like two people stacked on top of each other worth of water. Presumably it's above ground. Like he looked at the hole and it's not like...
No, it's not hundreds of feet above him. It's like a story.
Do you think it's like a pool?
This is a fancy luxury hotel that had an indoor pool on the top level. It's got to be, right? Because otherwise it's insane.
Because he gets out onto the edge of it. But the other question I have is, why is there still water in this pool? Like that, it looks like it's been maintained. Maybe there's a zombie guy that's adding chlorine tablets to it every couple of weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, what would you call those?
What did you think when you're first watching this and Laurent did the Obi-Wan to Darth Vader with the zombies and surrounded him, and then like, were you?
I thought this was a future scene
into it, or
I mean, so we've seen this happen for other reasons in this show, right? Not this show, but The Walking Dead in general. We've seen characters be invisible to zombies before. And so
Michonne,
I was thinking...
Perfect example.
Yeah, Michonne, I mean, everything happening Guts, like all that stuff. There are ways to become invisible to walkers. Glenn under the dumpster. So I thought maybe something like that had happened, maybe like... Because I thought this might have been in the future. This might be a year later, because it's such a non sequitur between falling through the ceiling and what's happening here.
True.
I'm like, maybe he got injected with some... experiment that Janae's been doing. I didn't know what to think because it's a crazy scene.
You're right. I wasn't even getting that far out, but because I was going the same things. Like, well, okay, how are we going to talk about this on the podcast? Is this stupid? And I started thinking, well, the whole Michonne thing. She wasn't covered in guts. She was just standing next to walkers who weren't attacking her. And I'm like, maybe in like a dark, if a regular human is just like calm and doesn't freak out and start screaming and acting like a living person, they would just do. I am kind of glad that they. I'm kind of glad they revealed it as a fantasy.
Yeah.
But you watched they do this unironically in the last episode. This is them boiling the frog 1 degree at a time.
For sure. I think we're going to see something wild happen here.
Speaking of other cinematic sins here, I'm pretty sure they told the story of Daryl Dixon getting bit on his ankle by a fucking zombie, but I don't think they realized they told that story, right?
They have told this story. This is a tale as old as time in The Walking Dead, and every time it results in a bite except for now.
Or is it? is there going to be a thing where he's actually bitten
no.
and it's going to be because it's been like a day, right?
It'll
we had a full
turn
day-night
way
cycle.
too fast. Yeah, I mean they've got more seasons of this show to do. There's no
Why
chance.
did they do that? I've never seen it.
Because it's The Walking Dead.
But
they
they've
don't
never
care.
done where like someone is bit on the ankle and either that's resolved within the episode, if not right away. Now, like
Daryl
they've
wears
always
6
made it clear
pair
that
of
Daryl
jeans.
wears boots that like up to his calf, and he's always got that weird wraparound lace system and all that shit. But like, and it's like, you should wear boots and you should wear heavy Carhartt rugged outdoor wear when you're fighting zombies and stuff. But it's just like, it's just kind of weird that they didn't like show the boot with like a bite mark on it or something to show to like, he almost got bit, but it's Daryl. So
I'm with you.
because like I said, I've never seen those sequence of shots not end up with someone bit. And I was the whole episode, I'm like, okay, they teased the Faith thing is like they're going to be laying on of hands, like Laurent's going to pray over his ankle,
Sure.
like what?
He's gonna latch on with his lips and suck the poison out.
This whole cold
Like a
open
snake
is
bite.
just this whole cold open is just a bizarre series of bizarre choices.
I agree, and it gets weirder too because then Daryl's walking through Paris, and he's seeing like people inside their apartments, just kind of living normal lives. A person playing a cello, a couple is sharing afternoon tea or some shit, coffee probably. It's Paris. I think these are fantasies. I'm really hard pressed to tell if these are real or not.
Dude, I didn't even consider their fantasies, but I
Oh,
think
okay.
you might have something there. I was actually trying to think if they are trying to show that Janae, while clearly a totalitarian, and I would even call the way she's talking about degenerate art, like fucking Monet is degenerate liberal art, like communist, post-Marxist. Were they trying to say that like Janae, despite all that, is like kind of an effective leader, and that's why she enjoys popular support? That her streets, because like zombies are one thing. We've always said that like it's the humans being assholes that's a real problem in the zombie apocalypse. Like you could have a pretty full life if you just had to like wall up and keep dumbass zombies out.
Yeah.
And these people seem like they're kind like no one's worried about getting sniped in through a window. No one's worried about a warlord coming and hearing them and taking all their shit. Like,
Are they
the trains
worried
are
about
running on time, Jim, is what I'm saying. If you're
are they worried about climbers and swimmers and boilers and hungry ones like swarming? Because like,
doesn't seem like it.
At the same time, look, let's say she's protecting them. Okay, yeah, she's protecting all these people. Paris is a great place to live. There's culture, there's wine, there's whiskey, there's Monet. And then on the side, she's doing experiments to create super walkers that are going to inevitably get out and become a problem for everybody. Mm-hmm. They already have. Mm-hmm. They're in the wild. They're just roaming the streets of Paris, boiling away. That's a weird combination.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I think that the zombies are one thing. It's the people that are another. Now, that's the other thing, is that maybe they're setting her up for a fall, that she's going to invent herself a super zombie that's going to not respect her rules.
Yeah. Oh, she guarantee there's no chance that Daryl gets to kill her because one of her own experiments is going to kill her. Guarantee.
Yeah. I also wondered along these lines if like her relationship with Quinn is not as much of like is her kind of like trying to push all the degeneracy to one spot.
Yeah, could be.
Like you take all the cabaret types,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we'll leave Paris for the fine, upstanding citizens. I don't know. Like I said, the social commentary on The Walking Dead is all over the map. So who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's go over to Sad Max interrogating people from Falu's community about Daryl. They clue him in on the boy and his destiny. Janae has apparently heard of this boy and doesn't like the false hope that it gives people. And Sad Max says, "I'll find both of them."
This is this commentary where she's talking about, all of you weak, submissive, credulous, and they're panning around like, this I feel like they're trying to make a point here. This commune is noticeably a lot more diverse in terms of, you know, people's religions and races and creeds than what we've seen from the soldiers, Genet's troops. And I think they're like trying to, you know, like really make a clear distinction between like the artistes and the, you know, the free spirits and the repressed classes with Genet's overclass or whatever. But like,
yeah,
it's a very rebels versus imperial kind of thing.
What does she do with this baby? Does she keep it? Does she kill it? Does she give it back?
I really thought I was going to watch this woman snap a baby's neck. Mm-hmm. Or like punch it in a soft spot or something, you know. Mm-hmm. The way she was handling this wailing child was menacing. But I also remembered like isn't that her deal? She abducts children and inducts them into her. She abducts and inducts.
Oh, really?
First you abduct and then you induct a child into armor. Because when Quadrone was talking about, Sad Max was talking about how he was talking about being a very small child when that dude held him down and tattooed his face.
Gotcha.
So like,
okay.
in the penultimate episode next week, we want to see this baby with a Mike Tyson tattoo.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. It's the next best thing to a zombie baby.
Ink him up, man.
Yeah. Zombie babies, tat babies. Let's do it. And then Daryl runs into the guy with the pigeon radio. He tells Daryl that they're looking for Laurent. Daryl asks where he can find well, he says Rue Manuel. Who the fuck is that?
It's a street. Rue means street, so it's the Manuel Street.
Where is he? Oh, he's trying to get to Isabel's apartment. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Birdman's going to lead the way, but Sad Max's guys roll up. They find Birdman's birds, and he gets shot trying to protect them. Daryl kills Sad Max's guys, and then with his dying wish, Birdman wishes that Daryl would set his birds free, so he does.
I mean, what am I supposed to feel about this pigeon guy?
I don't give a shit about him. I never did.
He sold his life for 4 pigeons, and that's about as much as I can say about him.
He seemed all right. He was doing the most he could with that role, I guess.
Yeah.
This guy was kind of endearing.
It's a good thing he found the commune to fit into, because I don't see this guy making it on his own.
Yeah. Although, I don't know. You get a bento box of pigeons and once every other day, and you're probably good.
I did think that Daryl, why not just grab the bike and take it with you, you know?
Uh-huh.
Right?
It's harder to hide with the bike.
I guess so. But
you would be more mobile.
That's the other thing is, like, if Daryl had just done his thing, he could have killed these guys and, before the old man gets shot to death. But maybe he doesn't think the old man's going to go and get himself shot over 4 pigeons. I certainly wouldn't.
Yeah, he underestimated his attachment to these pigeons.
I also thought, man, those soldiers, that soldier's got eagle eyes when it comes to, like, food. They're moving 30 miles an hour down the street, just littered with shit. It's a post-apocalyptic. It's just littered with shit.
He smelled them.
And he picked out that pigeon box from, like I said, an elevated platform going down the street 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's just he must have Terminator vision, just all the time looking for
smelled them.
Meat.
Smelled those pigeons. Pigeons stink. I don't know if you've ever been around pigeons. Oh, God, they smell.
I was hoping the old man bicycling him around would have aired him out. You know, they would have blown that pigeon stink off of him, but I guess not.
Well, the pigeons in the apocalypse don't shower as much as they should. It's hard to find running water.
It's a nice little scene. I like, because no sooner did the man shot the pigeon guy than Daryl's trench knife just comes woof, 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 out of frame and right in the middle of the guy's skull. I thought it was pretty shocking. And then Daryl's gotten really handed that mace too.
Yeah, that Morningstar thing.
He's pretty flashy with it towards the end of this episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one for sure. Let's see. Daryl then goes to Isabel's old apartment. She is there, but she never found Laurent. Daryl thinks he knows where Laurent is going, so they head out. And this was pretty obvious. I mean, with his obsession with the Eiffel Tower over the course of the last few episodes, it's been pretty obvious where he's headed.
Honestly, my first instinct was that he was going to run back to Quinn's to try to reestablish contact with his dad.
Yeah,
but
that's another possibility for sure.
As soon as I saw him kind of like, I'm like, oh, of course. He had just talked about how magical it would be.
He's got this picture of his mom there.
The personal connection with his mom. Like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Totally. And I think, so this is where The Walking Dead has done a good job setting up stuff like this. And I'm going to point that out so that later I can point out where they've done a terrible job setting things up. But credit where credit is due. They had set this up. And they don't, they don't seem to really string you along on this stuff as much as like The Walking Dead could do.
Yeah, they don't. Because like I said, I mean, I haven't seen this show. Maybe it pumped the brakes a little bit here just to kind of so it can hit all of its hour-long episode marks, but like it doesn't have like half a season's worth of fat like we're used to seeing in The Walking Dead, where it's just like, oh shit, we gotta. Now, I don't know. It's interesting if they renew this for like a 13 or 16 or whatever episode season. How lean and mean Daryl Dixon can stay, but yeah, they're doing. I was wondering what you thought about the body language here. There was a little physical intimacy. There's a hug where it seemed like she was really clinging on to Daryl for dear life, and he still doesn't know what to do with it, or is just no sale, or what how do you read the situation here?
That's a good question. Like I've said in the past, I think he doesn't want to get attached here. He's just trying to get home, but also I feel like he's come off of that a little bit more each episode, stepping out of the horse-drawn carriage to go talk to Laurent when they're on the road and he's pissed, and like giving Isabel advice, and now I think he is getting attached despite not wanting to, and we'll see more of that later at the end of this episode where he's like, what the hell, you're not going with us? That's a stupid idea.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to parse how much of it's the Daryl Dixon aloofness / asexuality, and how much of it was just like, I'm trying to get back home. What am I trying to do? Lay roots down here?
Yeah, because I felt like we dealt with so much of that Daryl Dixon being Daryl Dixon stuff in The Walking Dead. I don't really want to try and rehash, like, I don't know, Daryl opening up to anybody other than himself. I just want this to be hey, I'm headed home, I don't want to get attached.
Well, the other thing I can't help but note is Sylvie wants to stay in Paris, and the whole convent's dead. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're setting up Isabel to be like a main character, with all the development that they've given her. And maybe at least in Daryl Dixon going forward, because we know it's been renewed, and if not, the Walking Dead broader universe.
Or she's going to get a lot more development next episode and killed.
Sylvie definitely has got that to worry about, because boy, she got some long speaking roles.
And Emil's gone. Like, they want me to invest in Emil. I'm like, first kiss, and he's dead. Next episode, forget it. I'm not bothering.
Was his name not Bastien?
No, apparently not. He changed it.
Does Ferrano not know his dudes? Because he was absolutely introduced last episode at Bastien, and I thought maybe it was a fuck up, or like that's his like nickname or pet name or something, but.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, dude. I'm not investing in any of these characters until next season.
Especially ones
you got to survive a whole
bullet
season.
Holes. Especially ones with bullet holes, no speaking lines and bullet holes. Whatever, Bastien.
Let's go over to Quinn. He's clearly bothered by Isabel's appearance, and it tells him to get over it because she's not coming back. Little does she know. One of Quinn's lackeys tells him that Daryl got away, and Sad Max is looking for Laurent too.
It's interesting what they're doing is Anna, because I don't know why I would give two shits. Like, but they're investing her in all this, like, oh, she's trapped, she's tormented. I'm like, but who? I barely know Quinn.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really giving this character some backstory, huh?
Yeah, I mean, clearly the tension here is going to be Isabel returning to the scene and Anna feeling like she's being rejected or whatever, or sidelined, and she's going to interfere, and like,
yeah, no,
you can see where this goes, but like,
sure,
yeah, I mean, I guess it's as good as any other story they're telling. I don't have a big problem with it.
I did like her line about women need a damn good reason to come back or to stay,
Mm-hmm.
and Quinn, I don't even know if he hears her. Like, he just does not care for what, like, Isabel shows up and he's just completely obsessed with getting her back in his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think they're like full-time living together, right? That's the vibe I get. I get that I feel like this is a pretty intimate relationship, at least from Anna's side, and like halfway from Quinn's side.
I feel like she's the talent and he's the manager, and they probably fuck on, but it doesn't. I don't know that he has. That's the other question: is does Quinn have feelings for anyone?
Right, I don't think he does. If like, anyone, maybe
he collects things. I thought it was interesting the way he says that I collect things, and and apparently one of the things he collects is women and relationships.
Sure,
that's what I'm getting, and it's the thrill of it, Like, you got to be deranged to get the sister of your girlfriend pregnant. That's deranged behavior. That's wildly out of pocket.
It's not just morally reprehensible, it's foolish.
Yeah,
it's foolish.
No, there's nothing that can be said to recommend that course of action.
No, if you want to be morally reprehensible, there are billions of other women in the world.
Like, there's one argument.
Your sister?
There's one argument. Pussy feels good, and it's not good enough. It's not good enough.
It's not a good argument.
Honestly.
Indeed. All right, let's go to Laurent. Wandering the streets of Paris, Daryl and Isabel are going where they think he's going. Laurent gets to the Eiffel Tower and finds the worst group of tourists ever. They surround him. They're the hungry ones. Just as Daryl and Isabel arrive, they start fighting off the hungry ones, but while they're distracted, some other guys roll up in a Hyundai. I don't know. They kidnap Laurent. This scene is madness, man. I don't understand. And it all comes back to this fucking horse, or this mule, whatever it was, that Laurent loves so much. Six walkers a mile down the road, and Daryl's like, we got to release the horse. We have no chance against these walkers. And here he is. A swing of a morning star takes out two walkers. A single swing. Daryl fights his way out of a goddamn moat full of these things. He single-handedly takes out every tourist at the Eiffel Tower, and somehow he had to release that fucking donkey.
Maybe he just hated Laurent and wanted this kid needs to grow up. He's too attached to this donkey.
It's the only explanation. Yeah.
It's not natural, this mule.
This kills me. I hate that The Walking Dead does this stuff, man.
And this kidnapping was the worst, because there's like 3 seconds there where I'm like, Laurent, you can just get out of the car, dude. You just get out of the car. Daryl just took the dudes holding you and stuffing you in, and the door's wide open, and the guy up front is like asleep. Just step out. Step out, my guy.
And where did they come from? Have they been laying in wait? Because there's no sound of a car driving up. I don't think this is an EV.
Well, I mean, if you can have stealth walker, you can have a stealth Hyundai. I'm not telling you that.
Of course.
But I think you're supposed to understand that the reason she gave him the Eiffel Tower charm is to put this into his head. And that information is how Quinn knew to go there?
That's like 3D chess, man.
She saw the picture of his mom, and then he did that, but I
like Data
got
playing
that clear
the game
impression.
With the guy with the fingers. That's
otherwise I don't.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't know how they know, like, unless they have, like, eyes everywhere, where it's like, oh, some shit's going on at the Eiffel Tower. But
how about this? She gave him that pendant, not knowing that he, would end up here now. But she told Quinn that, like, I bet you could probably find him at the Eiffel Tower because he loves the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, I thought there was, like, even a line of dialogue where she's kind of suggesting he should be thankful to her for that kind of... I thought they kind of established that. I was like, what? And the second time through, I'm like, oh. But it's... Like I said, there was some curious choices made in how they... Even Laurent, last episode, like, barging in on Daryl and Isabel talking and being like, I hate you both, I'm out of here. And, like, that seemed like such a non sequitur, and then the soldiers were on them. It's like, man, there's just the sequence of events is a little bizarre. I like the fact that there was indeed a place in France with a hole in the wall where the boy could see it all. I thought that was
unfortunately
a really cool scene.
All of it could see him too.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
At least, yeah. The void stared back. Also, this whole time with Paris weeping, I thought it was the wind working through the metal, making like a organ pipe noise.
Is it not?
No, it's the metal fatiguing noise. Like this thing is like this section of the Eiffel Tower is blown open like the T-1000 after got a grenade put in him, and it's just like as it bends, it kind of moans, and I thought that was much cooler than I was envisioning it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I wish the fight scene was cooler. I don't know if it's this weapon or just the way that they're filming it, but like the Morning Star in concept is a very cool weapon. In use, it looks really stupid. Daryl's like, and it's kind of boring. Like Daryl's swinging this stupid thing above his head for 10 seconds before he takes a swing with it on walkers. It just kind of looks dumb and boring. You know what it is? The chain is too short. I want a much longer, like Castlevania level chain.
Yeah. It needs to be a longer chain and maybe even a bigger. Did they go for realism?
Yeah, I'm certain they did, and kudos to that. But like,
yeah,
I also want some cool action, and this just didn't get it done.
You didn't think it was cool? I thought it was kind of cool. Him, taking zombie heads out 2 at a time and getting the momentum. And
yeah, it wasn't necessarily when he struck his victims. It was more the in between parts where he's twirling,
just sitting there
and
twirling,
it looks real dumb.
Yeah. But
Laurent tries to hide under a dumpster. Doesn't work. They won't save you. That was the last series.
Corrugated metal can be considered the floor of a dumpster at best. You need 4 more walls and a lid before, and preferably on casters before you can hide under that. I did wonder though how that guy, like, he came in there and he knew exactly where, because like I thought when the zombie got killed that Isabel or Daryl got to him. Yeah, Armand, this weird asshole, pulls up and just goes right. I buy that these guys came here because Anna primed them to be like, oh, I got this kid, he's all Twitter paid. It's worth sending a Hyundai out to check it out anyway. But they come flying up in their Hyundai. How did they know? How did they know that Laurent was underneath here? Yeah,
they had brought the pigeon guy with them, and the pigeon guy smelled him.
Yeah.
It's the only explanation, because he's stuck under this thing. There's a gang of walkers all around. Daryl and Isabel have got to be honing in on him, right? They've got to be getting closer to Laurent. You would think they would be there to stop this kidnapping when it happens.
Also, if I'm judging my totalitarian leaders, kind of sloppy of Janae to leave a big old cluster of zombies just kind of milling underneath the Eiffel Tower. It's not very tidy, Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I mean, what if she wants to hang out there?
Yeah. Does she consider the Eiffel Tower degenerate?
Probably.
Degenerate art form?
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing I found out. I guess when the Eiffel Tower is being proposed, there was this a whole heap of artists and educated types that opposed it because they thought it'd be ugly and it'd be a iron splinter in the bleeding heart of France.
Okay.
Every once in a while, the artists are wrong. Every once in a while. Every once in a while, they're just got their heads way up their asses. Whiffed on that one, you guys.
I realized I did a little bit of reading, but it was around the Statue of Liberty. I realized
I did a lot of reading on that one too. Yeah,
because I knew that there were at least two of them. I knew that there was the big one here in America and the smaller one there in France. What I didn't know is there are hundreds of those around the world. It's not just the ones that we like, the one we have here and the one in France.
There's like 3 in Paris itself, and they're all. And I think the other 2 in France or in Paris are also built by the same guy. He was just like, making up different scales. And I guess the one that's in this park at the end is like, well, that was the reference for them making the big one.
That makes
yeah,
sense.
fascinating.
Mm-hmm. All right, you want to go over to Daryl and Isabel manage to catch one of these kidnappers, and Isabel gives him the opportunity to do the right things in the eyes of the Lord by telling him where LeBron is, and he reveals that he's one of Quinn's guys. Ba ba ba. Yeah, we kind of all knew. Can I say, and I think I need to say this to Amazon. What the fuck are you doing with your subtitles? Every time, so I occasionally like to watch this show, and specifically this show and other shows like it with subtitles on, because there's a lot of heavy accented English, and sometimes it's hard to tell what people are saying. The Expanse, like all sorts of things. And so I'm watching it, and it's giving me the subtitles when they're speaking English, but then when they start to speak French, the show gives me the subtitle itself. It's hard-coded in there. And yet Amazon deems it necessary to put the subtitle speaking French right on fucking top of the subtitle that's embedded into the episode itself. So I literally can't read it. I have to.
It's pretty great.
Watching this episode and this show in general has been a series of me going back and forth between the captions, turning them off, turning them on, turning them off, turning them on, every time they speak a different language.
See, the one thing that I like about Amazon's, the only thing I like about it is there are 2 things. The X-ray feature.
Don't say you can move the subtitles, because you can't on mine.
Oh, you can't? I was going to say, yeah, you can change the subtitles size, position.
Nope.
I make them really small.
Not on that app.
I make them really small.
Yeah, that would be great. And I looked for that option. No, you can't.
Why are you watching? I thought we were both watching this on Amazon.
Yeah, but it's on my Apple TV device. There's an Apple TV and there's an Apple TV device. Apple TV Plus is the service.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, I've got an Apple TV, and apparently Amazon hates Apple users. So, I don't know, man. They need to fix that because it sucks on shows like this in particular.
What's the deal with the whole spitting? Is that a thing they do in France where they theatrically get a whole loogie and they're like about to spit it in your face, and then they're like, "Oh, you're not worth it." Put it on the ground. Is that what they do?
He might have thought better of it with Daryl standing there, eyeing him, fingering his knife.
Yeah. But yeah, he doesn't try very hard to make it not known that he's a Quinn dude, going on and on about her past and how she's a party slut and whatever else that he was calling her in colorful French. Thieving party slut.
Yeah, and I think at some point Isabel's gonna confess that to Daryl.
Confess what? She's already told him.
I thought so. Yeah, I'm like, then what is she trying to tell him? Because at some point she's like trying to get his attention.
Yeah, Daryl doesn't give any shit about what people's past was, and like, even if he was inclined to moral judgment, which I don't think he is.
Yeah,
shit, you did.
Daryl had a party
big 4 times.
Mm-hmm. Daryl went to clubs all the time.
Well, not only that, but like fucking Negan. Like, Negan's the co-mayor of Alexandria now. Like, and Daryl co-signed on all that. Like, he believes
in redemption.
He sure does.
Yeah.
It's mercy overcoming his wrath. Except for this fucker, as he's going to find out in a scene very soon.
Yeah. So we see Laurent now with Quinn and Valerie, Anna. Laurent somehow knows that Quinn is his father. I can't remember if he actually overheard this or if this is something he's used his Jesus powers to figure out, but whatever. Quinn decides he's going to make up for lost time and claims that Isabel will join them eventually. I really have to know, and this is where the subtitle shit
I know the
fucks
answer
me.
that you seek.
What is the favorite dish of a vampire? I cannot understand a damn word he says, and this is the one line that they choose not to subtitle in either place.
It's unforgivable. It's croque monsieur, which is that's a sandwich that they make in France. It's essentially a fancy grilled ham and cheese, and it's croque monsieur. Like every cafe in Paris will serve you one of these.
Why is this?
It literally means like Mr. Crunch. It's like it's a crunchy sandwich, and that's kind of like if you translate in American. But what it literally means is bite Mister. So like it's a play on words where it's like their favorite meal is the bite monsieur. Monsieur.
Okay, I could have used a subtitle for that, and maybe an X-ray feature that would have let me know the background on that.
And an understanding of the French sense of humor. I mean, Jerry Lewis is huge over there.
Sure. Sure, they love clever.
Not enough subtitles in the world to understand that one.
There was a time. Quinn taking credit for the actions of his men, and Laurent pointing out how it wasn't actually you who saved me. I think that's interesting.
I sent a few guys. I was the one driving the Hyundai. You just didn't see.
Yeah,
you were belted in and scared. Yeah. I was the wheelman. Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if they're going to go further with that point. If they're going to try and make the point that, like, leaders don't actually get their hands dirty, and they send people off to do their dirty work for them, and how, that affects the people underneath them. We'll see.
It's also very dad. Like, it's the battle of the dads, Got the Disney dad's gonna give you all these caramel French chews, and he's got the Monets and the fancy nightclub, and then you got the squirrel dad that just camps out in the woods and eats shoelaces and possum. Who will you give your affection to? We'll find out on next week's episode of The Walking Dead.
And they do a lot of background work with Anna here, where she's looking at Quinn as he's interacting.
Do you
with
know
Laurent.
what it is? I just realized what Anna is. Anna is the jealous club owner's singer from a rando procedural episode of like Knight Rider.
I mean, she's literally that? Yeah.
She's literally that, because you have 43 minutes to sell this character, so you're just going to have her seethe in the background, you're going to have her jealous of her over a child, you're going to have her, have kind of streaky, smudgy makeup because she's kind of crying a lot right in the background. That's what it feels. Yeah, she's just given peak 80s procedural nightclub singer, and that's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah, usually those characters don't have much impact on the plot in general.
Exactly. They are a plot lever. She is going, like you said, she's going to, like, she was supposed to do something, she didn't do it. She's supposed to not do something later, and she's going to do it, and it's probably going to fuck Quinn over real bad.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe they're doing a little bit better than MacGyver level, but not much.
It's right there. They have MacGyver, A-Team. If you watch any 80s television, you've seen this 100 times, and it's just kind of out of place in a in an episodic prestige zombie drama.
Yeah, it's just the easy thing to pull off the shelf and the cheap thing. It doesn't feel very satisfying.
Yeah, paint by numbers.
So Daryl and Isabel's captive claims that she's a very bad girl, and the guy won't say shit about Laurent's location, so Daryl shivs him a whole bunch while telling a story of a dying pig. The guy claims that there is a dangerous backdoor into Quinn's fortress, so they decide to take him along as guide. Gets him to talk with this story that I'm 100% believe is Daryl's actual real childhood backstory.
Or just could be he knows a
100%.
guy. He knows a guy named Jimmy. Or he could. I don't know.
No,
So-
he is Jimmy. There's no chance. I don't buy, oh, yeah, I made all that shit up. No way, man. You're talking about a drunk dad. You're talking about being picked on for being small. Like, this is Daryl.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I wonder if they'll ever like directly address this in the canon, because it makes a lot of sense why Isabel made the connection. But I also think it's funny for Daryl just to make up some sick shit to say to some dude that he's gonna kill. There's a lot of people on the internet claiming that this is a new low for Daryl Dixon. That like this gleeful torture and later feeding to a zombie is not characteristic of Daryl Dixon behavior. Your comment as a Daryl Dixonologist of standing for some 15 years now?
It's been a while since I've cared much about The Walking Dead. I'm trying to think of instances similar to this. And I'm having a hard time, but not for a character reason. I think maybe they just hadn't. Maybe I just can't think of it. Are there instances where he's done stuff like this?
Oh, I mean, he was their dedicated torturer in like seasons 2 and 3. Like if they needed to, torture somebody to find out some information, it was. But like because I was reading this and I'm like, I was taken aback because like this to me this seems like Daryl Dixon, and I'm like, were they trying to tell like a Amos from The Expanse story that like if he gets away from his crew for too long, he just kind of gets feral and wild and violent. But I think it's a clear part of Daryl's character that he has a special scorn for people who use like women and children. And Quinn, I think he's gotten the idea Quinn's that guy, and this guy, the way he's talking about Isabel, puts him in a category, and he's unwilling to help him. So Daryl's like, fuck him. Like, there's no way this guy survives this encounter. Like, the second Daryl starts I'm actually kind of impressed the guy was on his feet as long as he was.
Mm-hmm.
Daryl stabbed him in the chest. Like, is he like literally a Terminator where he knows detailed files of the human anatomy, and from gutting squirrels and eating possum, he just knows where you can, from killing that Christmas pig, he knows exactly where you can stick people for maximum pain.
I'm telling you, man, the backstory is real here. He definitely knows how to shiv a fool like 6 times without killing him. I mean, you get one lung, right?
Yeah. That's a sad-ass story.
For sure it is, yeah.
Having
kids trying to do the right thing.
A runty pig that you're raising like a pet, and it's treating you like one, then your drunken dad comes home and says you gotta butcher this pig for some church charity thing. Jesus don't want your puppy pig, man. And then him accidentally trying to kill it slow, or he's trying to kill it gentle, but that just made
everybody hears it screaming and blames him, and as a torture, it's fucked up.
It is fucked up. I thought Norman Reedus clearly enjoyed giving that speech too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way he said at the end, "No one ever fucked with Jimmy," like, is just so funny. Such a great punctuation point for that story.
Yeah. No, Daryl can get hard when he wants to, and I feel like he got hard in this scene.
Well, I mean, he didn't play Easy Street, so that's
true.
If he was really wanting to break the guy, that's what he'd do.
All right, Daryl's group gets psyched up to go into Quinn's fortress. I thought by boat, but apparently the boat was not for the raid. Sylvie, Sabine, I don't know, whatever. She kisses her boyfriend goodbye. She'll be dead in 2 episodes anyway. It doesn't matter. Isabel wants to tell Daryl something, but he says later. We get this chant: "Go in as one, come out as one. Go in as one group, come out as one horrific mass of melded flesh." Yes, let's do this. 5-headed walkers.
Are you calling it, Jim? Are you calling the Rat King?
Yeah. Falu is going to be the head of the Rat King.
I thought he was just the QAnon is still going, and they're doing this where we go one, we go all business, because that's what it sounded like, man. That's what it sounded like. But the line between a commune and a cult, not that wide and distinct.
I mean, it's very French, right? The Three Musketeers. They're French, yes.
Yeah.
One,
What's their...
all for one for all. I mean, come on.
That's their famous
community.
That's their
and
famous
look,
creed.
And they have the lowest retirement age in the land. So good for them. I feel like it works. I feel like sticking together, community, solidarity, that all works.
That's the French
man.
way. Fraternity, equality, solidarity. They got the.
Absolutely. I'm not kidding on that. I think that's a great philosophy. Do it.
Yeah, 3 levels deep from of irony in The Walking Dead, I'll say yes. I genuinely appreciate that esprit as well. Mm-hmm. I thought that Sylvie. I thought that's a pretty nice moment. I do think because like she's the way she just kind of steals a kiss and then her face she made like, oh, I can't believe I did that, and the fact that like that's
right.
probably her first kiss, right?
Oh yeah, definitely it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super cute. It's super sweet. I hope Bastien or
Emile
Etienne or Emile or whatever he is. I hope he doesn't die. But he's got a bullet in him by the end of this episode. It's not looking good.
Yeah, he's done. Forget him. Write him off.
But they're showing more and more that Isabel doesn't really have a reason to stay here. She's got no convent. Sylvie wants to stay here with her I don't know, the Iron Lady if nothing else, and. It's going to be, I think they're trying to build out their roster because they're gonna. I don't know that AMC has a plan for post Walking Dead.
I feel like they've had plans and none of them have hit the way they wanted them to.
I mean, Daryl Dixon's getting a lot of positive buzz for what it is, and maybe that's like I mean this isn't 15 years ago. They're not getting 6-7 million people watching The Walking Dead and Mad Men anymore. So maybe they're just happy to have a couple million people huddle around the dying embers of a zombie franchise. But right. Yeah, I feel like the AMC, like, if you look at the ratings and some of their spinoffs, like they're just lashed themselves to this ship, man.
What new characters, like core characters, are they creating here? Because I don't feel like Isabel's a core character. I think
they're shaping her up to be a new core.
Daryl's going to take her back to America with him because Daryl's got to get back to America. There's no chance he dies in France or lives the rest of his life there.
Yes, I think he brings her back to America because there's again.
Is she a strong enough character? I don't feel any affinity to Isabel. Like
really?
I don't know why, but she just is a void in my heart.
I don't know. Maybe it's leftover affection from the Harry Potter franchise, but I think Isabel is a cool character that they've built up in a lot of interesting ways. Like I think it was smart to give her almost an entire episode of backstory, and like I don't know why you do that on a 6-episode mini because like she's just a warrior mom nun, with no other dimensions. That's a pretty easy story to tell. But
yeah, no, I think they're definitely setting up her character for future seasons. I do wonder if she's going to stick around beyond this show. I guess like a Daryl, like a Rick, like a Michonne, like a Negan or Maggie. Those feel like the core characters. Anybody who gets their own spinoff, and even a Carol. But
probably relies a lot on the audience reaction too. If people go crazy for Isabel, and I feel like that she's been well received.
What about
like
Pigeon
she's the
Guy?
opposite
The
of
Pigeon
Anna.
Guy could have been that. He could have been the dude.
The breakout character.
Yeah, I'd watch a whole season of him communicating via pigeon radio.
He's like a worse version of Eugene, honestly. Because Eugene wouldn't his many things, but he wouldn't lay his life down for a box full of pigeons.
No, and he was fairly entertaining. I don't know. Maybe Falu will become important later. We'll see.
I do like Falu. He's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Sabine talks excitedly to Isabel about her new boyfriend. She says she wants to stay in Paris, not because of him. No. Because of the community they're building. And they meet Aslan, the man with the boat.
God, I love those long boats they got in like Europe and especially the UK. The canal boats are so fucking cool.
Yeah.
What if you can import one of those to America? Or maybe I can buy some in the because man, it seemed like it'd be a really good Great Lakes boat.
Yeah.
Coastal. You wouldn't
Okay.
want to
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
wouldn't want to just
gonna say
steam across Lake
waves,
Michigan
or-
and those things. But like, I think that's what they're kind of designed for. They're just kind of like, kind of RVs. You know, you're not really supposed to just
Yeah,
drive them
calm water
around. You
boats.
kind of take them to the destinations and park them. So
Yeah. Take him to Amsterdam.
that's
Take
right.
him to...
Entertain one Hannah Waddingham.
Uh-huh.
You could do that on on a long boat.
You can. Laurent stares at his mom's photo while Quinn meets with Janae to negotiate for the American. He wants a Monet painting in exchange. He claims he doesn't have Laurent, but he'll keep looking. And when Janae leaves, Anna is disappointed with the deal he made, let's say. Quinn gives her a gun and says, keep Laurent safe while I wait for Daryl to show up.
Would she prefer the 20 bushels of corn? I felt like,
She loves corn.
she clearly doesn't value the Monet, and like the Monet is kind of literally worthless in the zombie apocalypse. But 20 bushels of corn to find a deliver you Daryl Dixon. Like a bushel's not even as big as a laundry basket. That seems like it's selling Daryl Dixon's life pretty cheaply.
Yeah. Yeah, one worthless painting.
Give you a gallon of... So she offers like a gallon of cider, 20 bushels of corn, or yes, this Monet. What do you think's going on from Quinn's perspective? Is this his collecting bug?
I can't really read why he's doing this. I don't know if this is like some pining after the art thief world that they were in before with Isabel, if this is all a symptom of that, or if this is just like, yeah, his thing. He collects art now. I don't know. I gotta see more of him.
I wonder what his men will think, because he's already lost 2 guys in this quest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like 2 dudes worth 20 bushels of corn, let alone a painting that your boss can just sit and admire.
I don't know. At least he keeps them in the clubhouse, where you can also admire them.
You think he's going to getting blowback from him lying to Janae about having the boy?
Well, see, here's what I thought was going to happen. Rather than just let Laurent go, I thought Anna was going to tip her hand, or tip his hand, and let her know that, oh, he does actually have Laurent.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way to get back at him.
And this is the scene where she says the whole reason I gave him that charm is so, you know, you could find him to get you the reward money. So
God,
like they do make
oh my God.
Yeah, they do make an explicit connection here. And yeah, she's like all about the reward money.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
I thought she would give the game away, but she doesn't, which is weird.
it's a bizarre choice she makes in this episode. I guess maybe not. She just wants to get rid of the competition for affection and attention.
Uh-huh. And I think she kind of, like I said the first time she had a discussion with Laurent, I think she likes Laurent, and he's like saying, oh, you actually are a good person, you just don't want people to know it.
And he is supposed to be the empath, so I guess we have to trust him.
I do. The show is telling me to trust that, so maybe shame on me, but I do. Does he have a thing for Monets? Is it all about Monets? He wants this Japanese footbridge painting, which I looked up. It's a pretty painting, but it's a lot like his other paintings. He's got several like this already.
How many is enough? He's trying to collect the whole set. He wants all 185 Lily studies. He wants. I don't know. Like I said, it's a quirky villain behavior, and I also wonder if, because that's the thing with The Walking Dead. In my mind, doing something like this would have your men starting to be, it's not going to be a mutiny, but like it's the sign of like, man, the boss really doesn't give a shit about us.
Yeah.
You know, why are we fighting for this punk kid and a shitty painting? I don't know, but I can't tell if they're, because he's just like, is he always this distracted? Because or maybe he's not distracted. Maybe he's just hyper focused on the thing. But it's like he seems to be just doing this stuff like ignoring everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a traitor, and I guess he thinks that there are people out there who might want the things he's got. Because he has to get food. He has to get some supplies for his crew. He can't just be getting paintings all the time.
True. Should have gone for that corn.
Yep. I've taken in my notes to calling this guy that Daryl stabbed a whole bunch Piglet. So don't be confused when I say Daryl and Piglet make their way into the sewers as Falu and his crew launch a frontal attack on Quinn's fortress as cover. Piglet gets away from Daryl, injures himself. Daryl gets directions, leaves him to die, and then Emil gets shot in the leg, so they retreat. But Daryl's made it into Quinn's club.
Yeah, you got 7 holes in you. You're going to run off in the catacombs alone, dude? I don't think so. I don't think
the
so.
Shit stream of Paris. I guess the shit stream has really died down.
I guess,
so few
but
people.
Still, that catacombs are not a hygiene. That is not a. That what do they call that? A septic. That is not an aseptic place to be. It's not where you want to be with open abdominal wounds.
This
guy's probably dying
septic
anyway.
Place to be.
I thought this was like, dare I say, smart tactics. Like to do a full-on frontal assault. It's like, like pretty ballsy. It's got improvised explosives, Molotov cocktails. We see the guns are not really used a lot, but they're like, pouring it on. I was actually impressed. Like this usually Walking Dead stuff just kind of smash and grab. It's like one dude take, and then this actually they thought about it a bit. Wow.
The last time they tried to do anything this ambitious tactically was the raid on Negan's outposts, and that went spectacularly wrong.
And then they subverted it the other way. That Negan,
Yeah, so I was kind of into this. I thought that was a smart move. It made sense tactically. It all kind of worked out for them the way they wanted it to, so good on them.
Yeah.
Then we go over to Laurent telling Anna that she's nice, but she doesn't want people to know it. And Daryl shows up to take Laurent, but Anna pulls a gun and then lets them both go. Why even bother pulling the gun if you're just going to let him go anyway?
To me, that I don't know if it's intentional, then I would say that that's trying to tell you that she is a little conflicted.
Sure. Yeah.
That like defying Quinn is hard for her. On scary, but yeah, that's the only thing I could figure.
No, I feel like it should be scary. I don't know why, but this Quinn guy seems like a bad apple.
Well, he's a bad apple. Like I said, I think he'd be really effective at bullying women or children. But like this next scene where he takes on Daryl, I was like, if they have fucking Hickey put up a fight against Daryl Dixon, I'm going to say, nah. Yeah. No way. No fucking way. And thank God they didn't. Daryl just kind of handled this. He gets a lick in here or there, but...
Sure. But man, when he bashes his head on that railing...
Ooh. And then punches him with the brass knuckles of his trench knife. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. Quinn realizes the frontal attack was a diversion. This is the scene where he fights Daryl. He goes to find Laurent. He meets Daryl on the catwalk. They fight. Daryl gets the best of him, but he can't bring himself to kill Laurent's father right in front of him.
Yeah.
So he knocks him out instead, and they leave.
And Laurent, would you say, reluctantly joins Daryl? He's conflicted a little bit about this. Yeah, I guess a little bit.
I think he wants to get to know his father, right? Like, who is this guy that I've heard so much about that I now know is probably a fabrication?
Oh, yeah, like that you were a foreign legionnaire and you're a national hero to France and you died in the zombie resistance. Like, yeah, I could see him wondering if any of that is true. Was there, because, like what he knows about his father so far, is he used to pal around with his mom, his aunt, 2 of his favorite people, you'd think, and he's given him some taste of candy, and he's got a girlfriend who's a decent person. None of those things are terrible.
He understands all the fucked up relationship dynamics, too, though. He's like... Oh, yeah, you cheated on my aunt with my mom, and that's how I was born. Like, he knows about all that. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he knows that this guy isn't a good guy, right? But it's his dad, so there's that temptation.
That's tough. Although they just met. That's the other thing that I don't know how you score the father-son bond on something like that.
I feel like they're playing that pretty well. Like, he's not just immediately, oh, this is my father, I have to stick by his side. He's kind of, just reluctantly making all the right calls here.
Yeah, I agree with that. But, like, I feel like they built this catwalk in the club just so they can have Daryl and Quinn sprint at each other. And, man, I just went through when I saw them setting this up, Because I thought Daryl would just get away. As soon as he says, oh, it's a diversion, he'd just come back. And I thought he was just going to open the room and there'd be maybe confrontation with Anna. Like, how could you let him escape? But, like, when he opens the door and dares Daryl across the fucking drawbridge, I'm like, no shot does this guy stand a chance against Daryl. No shot.
No, he got off easy, for sure.
Yeah, he really did. Because I agree. Daryl was going to stab him right in the fucking throat. And then he saw Laurent there watching him, so...
All right, man, I've been waiting all episode to talk about this next scene. Emile and Falou arrive at the boat to wait for Daryl and Laurent. And they both show up, and then Daryl says, that's it. I'm out. I did my job. And Isabel says, you did your job, yes, but I got to stay with Quinn in order to get everyone out of the city safely. And Laurent says a tearful goodbye to everyone, and Daryl and Laurent leave boat. I cannot believe the callous nature with which Isabel treats Daryl's life here. Isabel sends him into the heart of darkness here to get Laurent out when she knew damn well she was just going to turn herself over anyway as a way to get them out of the city. Could she not have just gone to Quinn herself and says, I will stay with you if you let Laurent and my friends go? And save Daryl the opportunity to get himself killed.
Well, I mean, did she not want to do that? And Daryl's the one that blew up that negotiation, number one. Number two, I think you're supposed to understand is that the Janae encircling the city and closing down the city, specifically look for Laurent, is a new development from the time they planned the raid to now. Daryl taking too long. Or this whole time taking too long is like now they got a situation where she. But I will say that I think this is muddled ass storytelling because I the first time I watched this I'm like, wait, did Daryl agree to do this or is he just going home or is he just kind of saying, well, this sucks but good luck. Yeah, I don't know. To me, I think they're telling a story of like she realizes that you need to go to Laurent to make sure he's safe, and I'm going to go back and convince Quinn to use whatever strings he... But, like, what strings can he possibly pull? Janae is, like, intent on getting this dude. Does he got a soldier that's like, yeah, I defy Janae for a pack of smokes? I mean, it's one thing if you're, like, just kind of, like, got, like, oh, yeah, I got a kickback going for overlooking this or that. But usually this is the point where the Godfather tries to bribe the cop, and the cop's like, I don't know what to tell you. The mayor's breathing down the captain's neck, and the commissioner's eating asses for breakfast. And I got I got a job to think. It's like that's I don't know. It's like, well, what the fuck do you think Quinn's going to do? He runs a fucking nightclub in Paris.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, Janae controls France from the south to the fucking northern tip. What?
Yeah, it's a little unbelievable that he could do anything. Maybe there's a guy who collects Picassos who's got a few to trade, and she does not consider that degenerate art. I don't know, but yeah.
I would think if anything, Picasso is even more degenerate.
Yeah, by her standards, for sure.
Like, maybe he can swap it for, like, one of those fucking white Roman statues.
Which era of
Janae would
Picasso?
go nuts over that.
Yeah, she probably would. Unless the dick is snapped off, like most of them are, and then... Not interesting.
Let's save her the time putting a fig leaf on it, honestly. The only way you can prove the classical art is to snap off
you're
all
right.
the dicks and nips.
I don't know. And Isabel's like, oh, yeah, I will go be with Quinn until I know you guys are safe, and then I'll try and figure out a way back. She'll never know if they're safe. They could murder all of them going down the stream here, and she would never fucking know. Quinn would tell her, yeah, they're totally safe. Right. And they'd all be dead at the bottom of the river.
But there's also she seems supremely confident that, like, I escaped this dude's clutches once, I can do it again. But
I guess.
Yeah. But I'm still not sure
their
why.
Hyundai for the annual Bohemian picnic, she's going to steal the car and leave them stranded? I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm not, like, I don't really understand why Quinn has this fixation on her. Like, is she the one that got away?
Yeah, that while he was sleeping with her sister, yeah, she got away.
literally.
Yeah,
with
it's
his
super
sister.
fucking weird, man. I don't know what his hang up with her is either.
And it's like, if anything, I think she's misreading the situation. Maybe he wants revenge, but I don't know. Maybe he actually does want. Hey, I would like my son to be here with me, and he would feel much more comfortable with his aunt there. So QED. Maybe it's just as simple as that. But I don't think he wants her romantically.
Yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's the other thing is like does he ever want anyone romantically or is he just collecting things, you know?
Yeah, and I've seen other shows do this like switcheroo where a character goes in and does something they think is important and then another character nullifies that with a decision that they make, but in good shows they have to make that decision. Everything about them compels them to make that decision. I'm thinking of like the I fucked Ted stuff in Breaking Bad and Crawl Space, and like there's so many things where one character thwarts another incidentally, and all of that just feels so perfect and natural. And here it's like I'm not even sure I understand why or what decisions are being made.
Yeah. And again, this felt like I don't know. I felt like there was some pretty deep, or there's some pretty puzzling cuts and edits, and whether they had to cut a bunch of stuff in this episode to make room for the stunts or I don't know, but it felt like there's just a few things maybe missing from the equation too that they just didn't quite get across onto the screen.
Maybe
that makes it a little extra confusing.
And then at the end of the episode, Isabel does go to Quinn, and I guess we'll kind of see what that looks like next time.
That's the other thing. Is like, man, they didn't give us nothing. Like Quinn gives her this dead 1,000-yard stare. She's got the dead. That's kind of her resting face at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only one who's still giving me anything is Anna, who's just playing the torch carrying lounge singer, just seething, walking down the staircase, seething at the old girl coming back.
He got what he wanted, right? I don't think he ever really wanted a relationship with his son. That's the weird thing. Like he talks a big game about that, but I never
that's the only thing that makes sense to me. That he has in some weird way, like this is his legacy, and that why I don't understand why he would, other than to torment her and get revenge on her, why he would want Isabel back in her life. But maybe that's what he wants to do. He just wants to ruin her
able
life.
And willing legacy bearers trying to bang him at every turn. I don't know why he doesn't just create a new legacy, forge a new path, man.
I don't know. Why would you try to capture Daryl Dixon and trade him for Monet? The man's crazy.
True.
Crazy.
But that's it. It's the end of the episode.
All right, let's get with the feedback. TWD@baldmove.com is how you send us feedback. We got an email spotlight on Seawells. It says, I disagree with your idea that this show isn't aping The Last of Us. They're definitely biting it. It's like me seeing Home Improvement's episode where Tim Allen finally constructs his entire hot rod and the thing is badass. I can get up and try to do the same and have some plywood on wheels. It's still my hot rod, but I'm terrible at it. Just like The Walking Dead borrowing from The Last of Us. Of course, they want you to feel the father-son relationship between Daryl and that little shit kid, but they don't know how to do it. This is an exact copy. The problem is The Walking Dead is a copy like Cleon, the 17th Clone Foundation. Or is it the 16th? The genetic drift is set in so deep that Cleon looks like Tommy Lee Jones. The show is also boring. It's too bad I love the podcast so much. Me and my girl just sit through complaining about it. Keep it up. Love you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I spoke because like I'm not denying the comparison. I would be a crazy person. But to your Cleon example, at what point does Tommy Lee Jones not resemble Lee Pace enough that when you see them walk down the street, you don't be like, oh, that's the Emperor. You think that's fucking craggy Tommy Lee Jones. And honest to God, like I said, obviously the similarities are there. It's just, when I watch the show, I'm not thinking The Last of Us. I really am not, because you can't judge the emotions that way, No,
it's like it doesn't cross my mind really.
Yeah, it's like if I had a roast beef sandwich at Arby's and I'm like, I got a roast beef sandwich at Arby's. Someone asked me what I eat. I got a roast beef. if I went and like, I don't know, Gordon Ramsay personally cooked me like a roast beef, his take on a roast beef sandwich. There's a roast beef sandwich. It's like, you know, he baked the bread fresh and he picked the bread. And it's the fucking, I don't know what all you do to roast beef to make it like
slow bled
3
the cow.
Michelin star. You slow bleed the cow. You do all the things. And someone asked me what I had for lunch that day, and if I said I had a roast beef sandwich, that would not. That's no, I didn't. No, I didn't. That would be misleading people, right? That would be I'm giving that person the impression that I just had a fucking beef and cheddar at Arby's or some shit like that, and I had an experience. That's how I feel like. It's like this is a roast beef sandwich, you know. It's got all the same ingredients. Okay. It's just this is the Last of Us just elevated it so much, you know. Mm-hmm. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's a pretty simple ass story, you know.
Yeah, it's core, definitely. Mm-hmm. I don't know about the roast beef analogy, but I definitely feel you when you say you're not watching this show thinking about The Last of Us. Even though it's a zombie show, even though there's a kid and an old grizzled guy, it does not cross my mind ever while watching this show.
Like even what Sewell says, it's like, of course they want you to feel the father-son relationship between Daryl and the little shit kid. Do they? Is that something they're trying to get me to feel? Because
I mean, kind of, but in their Walking Dead way, which is very different from the Last of Us way.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the big it's just an act of cowardice to have Isabel here. You know, that like the character of Daryl cannot believably bond with this child in 6 episodes. It's just yeah. I mean, because I'm thinking of like, imagine The Last of Us and Tess had survived, you know. It's not nearly the same show, right? So it's like I think that they've kind of fucked up the chemistry by having rather than taking 2 people who are very different. I mean, I think I just kind of backed into it. They fucked up the chemistry, and that's all The Last of Us. Like in The Last of Us, you had Joel and Ellie having to learn to trust and live with each other, right? Because there's no one else there.
Yeah.
Here, like, fuck, if Sylvie dies or Isabel dies or Asterix dies or like, there's 4 other adults and a mule, you know, you to take care of this kid. So it's like there's just It's the same thing like a fucking Chevy Nova is the same as a, I don't know, C8 Corvette. Is that the latest, or they are up to C9s now? I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
They'll have 4 wheels. They have steering wheels, engines and transmissions, but they're very different experiences. That's going to do it for feedback this week. TWD@baldmove.com if you got something to say about our favorite backwoods squirrel wrangler. His show or our coverage of same. You can also follow us along with everything else we're doing. Just getting Loki ginned up this week. Very excited about that. Fargo's not too far away. You can find out all the things we're doing each and every week on our social medias at Bald Move everywhere except for TikTok. We're at Baldest Move there. Finally, if you like what you're hearing, you want more of it, you want ad-free feeds, you want to support the Bald Move experience, keeping us covering the most relevant zombie shows on today. Support.baldmove.com is where you want to go to get all those things taken care of. That's it for Daryl Dixon this week. Until next time, I'm your host, A.Ron.
And I'm Jim.
See ya.